It was the autumn of 1969, and they say you never forget your first slow dance. For Helen, it wasn't the song or the dance hall that stayed with her, it was the way Peter looked at her that evening, under the soft glow of the chandeliers in Maplewood Town Hall. That night, she learned that sometimes the smallest moments can stretch across a lifetime. Helen Harper was 19 that year, bright-eyed, with chestnut hair that caught the gold of every sunset. She worked as a typist at the town clerk's office in Cedar Falls, a quiet little community just outside Chicago. Each morning she'd walk to the bus stop with her leather handbag swinging gently by her side, her hair neatly pinned, and her thoughts filled with the songs that carried from nearby storefronts, mostly tunes by the Seekers, Dusty Springfield, or the Mamas and the Papas. Peter Lawson, 22, was a mechanic at Henderson's garage, the kind of man who said little but smiled often. The neighborhood kids loved him, he'd fix their bicycles on weekends without charging a penny. He dreamed of one day opening his own auto shop, a proper one, with a sign that read, Lawson Service and Repair, gleaming in the sun. They lived just a few blocks apart but had never spoken. Helen often saw him across Main Street, sleeves rolled up, grease on his arms, laughter caught easily with his workmates. It was always a fleeting glance, polite, quiet, uncertain, until that one Friday evening. The local community club had announced an autumn dance at Maplewood Town Hall. Posters were plastered in diner windows, live band. Balloons. Dress to impress. Helen's friend, Nancy, convinced her to go, saying, "You can't spend your whole life typing letters, honey. One day you should receive one." So she went, wearing a soft blue dress with lace cuffs her mother had sewn, and shoes she'd saved months to buy. The hall smelled of polish and roses. Streamers hung low, and a band called the Silver Tones was tuning up in the corner. Peter was there too, dragged along by his buddy Dave. He didn't care much for dances, said he couldn't keep rhythm to save his life. But Dave promised there'd be girls and free punch, so he came. When the band started playing Unchained Melody, Helen stood shyly near the refreshment table, stirring her drink. Peter spotted her, blue dress, gentle smile, and every ounce of nervousness he had seemed to melt. If I don't ask her now, I'll regret it forever, he thought. He walked up, brushed his hands on his jeans, and said softly, "Would you mind a dance?" She looked surprised, then smiled. "Only if you promise not to step on my toes." The night drifted easily, as if time forgot to keep count. They moved together among the crowd, swaying like two people learning the world from scratch. They spoke about simple things, family, work, music. When she mentioned her favorite record, Close to You, his eyes lit up. "Carpenters," he said. "You've got great taste." After that night, they saw each other often, strolling through the county fairgrounds, splitting a milkshake at the diner on Jefferson Avenue, sitting by the Rock River feeding ducks as sunlight spilled like honey. Helen had never met anyone so quiet yet sure, the kind who would fix her umbrella without being asked, or write her short notes folded neatly in the shape of paper planes. One said simply, "If laughter were a road, I'd drive it to you every day." She kept those notes in her diary, pressed between the pages with dried lilac petals. But theirs wasn't a perfect story. Peter was offered an apprenticeship in Detroit, 6 months away. For a young couple still finding their rhythm, it felt like forever. They promised to write letters, and those letters became lifelines. He told her about the cold factory mornings, the smell of oil and steel. She wrote to him about her garden, her new typewriter, and how every song on the radio reminded her of him. Then, one letter didn't come. Days turned into weeks. Nancy tried to console her, "You know boys, they forget." But Helen refused to believe it. She waited every morning, walking to the mailbox, her heart caught between hope and disappointment. Autumn turned to winter. One evening, her father handed her an envelope that looked weathered and taped. It had a Detroit postmark. Inside, a note in Peter's handwriting, shaky, rushed. It read, "Hell, sorry for the silence. My dad's been sick, and I've had to work extra shifts. Please don't think I've forgotten you. I'll come home as soon as I can." She held that letter close to her chest. It wasn't just words. It was a heartbeat across distance. The summer of 1970 came blazing with sunlight and the hum of cicadas. One afternoon, as Helen passed Henderson's garage, she heard her name. Hell. She turned. There he was, the same half-smile, grease on his sleeve, eyes brighter than she remembered. He had come back, for good this time. They walked to the park by the river where they once fed ducks. The world seemed smaller, softer. "Do you still keep my silly notes?" he asked. She nodded and pulled one from her purse, the paper creased and yellowed. "This one kept me company all winter," she said. A month later, he asked her to ride out to the Smoky Mountains with him. He'd borrowed his uncle's old Ford pickup, and soft music played from the radio as they drove. The wind tangled her hair, and she thought there could never be another moment quite like this. They stopped on an overlook with the valley stretching endlessly below. Peter took out a small box, inside, a gold heart-shaped locket. "I can't give you much," he said, "but I can promise this, I'll keep writing you letters, even when we're old and living in the same house." She laughed, tears catching sunlight. That day, they shared their first real kiss, shy but certain, against the backdrop of mountains and whispering trees. The 70s rolled on. Miniskirts gave way to bell-bottoms, and the world kept spinning. Helen and Peter married in a small chapel filled with lilies and laughter. Their wedding song was "The Way You Look Tonight," the same one they once danced to barefoot in her parents' living room. Life became ordinary in the most beautiful ways: morning coffee together before work, Sunday drives down Route 66, evenings with old records and laughter echoing in their kitchen. Peter's garage thrived, and Helen became a schoolteacher. Years later, their daughter, Sarah, would tease them, saying their love story belonged in a movie. They'd smile and say, "No, sweetheart, just a time when love didn't need to shout to be heard." But time, as always, keeps its rhythm. Peter fell ill in the late 1990s, cancer, slow and quiet. Each evening, Helen sat beside him, reading aloud the letters he'd written to her from Detroit so long ago. He'd close his eyes and whisper, "Play me our song, will you?" She'd hum softly, even when her voice trembled. He passed one winter night with her hand in his. The next morning, she found a sealed envelope in his bedside drawer. It read, "For Hell, one last letter." It said, "My dearest magpie, if you're reading this, I hope you're smiling through tears. Don't be sad, I've had the best life, all because I met you. Where I'm going, the skies will always be that same shade of blue you wore at the dance. Wait for me by the riverside bench when it's my turn to come home." Now it's 2025. Helen is 75, her hair silver, her laughter still gentle. On her table sits a small record player, spinning Close to You by the Carpenters. She hums along as she bakes cookies for her granddaughter. Sometimes, when she walks by the Rock River, she pauses at the old wooden bench. The maple leaves drift down around her, golden and fragile. She sits quietly, watching the ripples move through the water. People who pass by might think she's alone. But she isn't, she's remembering. Her fingers touch the gold locket at her neck, and she whispers softly, "You kept your promise, Peter. You still write to me, every sunset." And her story reminds us, love isn't always fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes it's the quiet, steady rhythm of two hearts moving through time together. The world may have changed since the 70s, but under the autumn leaves and the hum of an old record, love still sounds exactly the same.